My name's Ashlee Black. So I've been an esthetician now for 8 years. I've been in aesthetics for 10 years. So I started in the industry a little bit after college, not with the intention of being an esthetician at all. My aunt's an esthetician. I needed a job. She's like, hey, we need some help at the front desk of this, our MedSpa. Can you come help us? And I said, yes, for sure. So I'd always wanted to be an occupational therapist. That's what I went to my undergrad for. Was pursuing it and spent many years actually trying to get into school. Came back to it 2 years later after working in physical therapy. Still wasn't getting into OT school. So my aunt, I was trying to move back to Houston. My aunt called me and said, hey, we need help at Glow again, which is where I worked. And, can you come help us? So came, realized just how much I actually enjoyed aesthetics at that point. I was older, I wasn't 22, I was 25, started seeing the benefits of skincare and all those, laser treatment and things like that. So pretty soon after I started that job, became an esthetician, so went to school to become an esthetician, worked there part-time, finished pretty fast. And that's what I've done for the last 8 years, primarily focused on skin rejuvenation, the medical side of it. So laser skin treatments, medical grade skincare, there's the spa side and then there's the medical aesthetic side. And they can merge a little bit. I did facials and then hydrofacials, peels, things like that. So I got to understand the skin at a whole nother level though when it came to treating people with lasers. And that's really what I love doing. But now I am, 8 years later, living in the suburbs, have 2 young kids, another one on the way. And I got to a point that I just needed to find something that was going to be really flexible for me and my family, close to home, no more commuting 2 hours out of the day. And I just couldn't see myself working for someone anymore. As much as I had an amazing experience at Glow, I still work there 2 days a week right now. But it's just, and I've learned so much, both as a professional esthetician, but also even the business side of it, because it's owned by a woman. The whole entire office is women. It's a small company, so got to see the ins and outs of just how everything is done. I mean, to an extent, right? I didn't know what it was like to be the owner. Now you do. Way more appreciation for everything that she does on top of seeing clients. But yeah, so I just couldn't see myself finding somewhere close to home temporarily when I knew that my end goal was always going to be to open my own space. Yeah. I didn't know what that was going to look like, but essentially I just kind of jumped in. So my daughter was 6 months old when I started my business, and basically just rented a studio right by home. So there's a Salons by GC right down the road from my house. Made the leap, went and did a tour. They had a room available that was perfect. And I was like, okay, my husband was on board 100%. That was a big piece of it, right? Having a spouse that can back you, because that's a big commitment, financially, time-wise, all that. My family and friends have been really supportive, so that's been a blessing, is them sending their friends, slowly growing my clientele. I've just now kind of figured out exactly what my niche was going to be. I knew what I wanted it to be, but I didn't have the confidence in saying, I provide holistic facial services. There was a little bit of imposter syndrome. I have been in medical aesthetics for the last 10 years. Why would anyone come to me for holistic facials? But I am very much holistic minded, love natural health, medicine, nutrition, and partnered with a skincare line that is holistic, but also science driven, results driven. So that was my tagline when I started, was holistic minded, results driven. And I started carrying a skincare line initially that just didn't align with what I wanted, but came across this new one called Green Envy this last 5 months or so, and looked more and more into it. I'm like, how did I not find this before? It was exactly what I needed. Like I said, their tagline is holistic minded, results driven, science backed, beautiful packaging, amazing products, and they provide outstanding training for their facials, their techniques, their what's called MARMA massage pressure points. So using different pressure points throughout the face and the neck and the shoulders to really help someone relax their mind and body and soul and just really like connect in that facial. So that's where I'm at right now. I officially was like, you know what, like there's no reason I can't say, like I provide amazing holistic facials, natural products, organic, non-toxic, all those things, but I still have that education in skin and understanding what really does deliver results. Yes, massage is great, but can we really change the skin a little bit? But we also need, you know, a lot of other things. And there's plenty of times in facials where I'll tell someone like, I can do this much for you as far as facials and skincare and chemical peels go, but I'm like, really need a photo facial. I would go find a MedSpa nearby, find an IPL. That's going to give you the results like exactly what you want. Because I'm not going to tell someone like, oh yeah, I can get rid of your brown spots and your red spots with these products and this facial, because you can't.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So as you've kind of grown, did you want to niche down because you knew you needed to, or what was the trajectory of that?
It wasn't anything clients were like looking for, or like it's still like clients come in from all different backgrounds, all different like goals. Some are really naturally minded and wanted someone who offered like non-toxic options, and others don't care at all, even still now, even though it's always been like on my business card, holistic minded. Some people don't know what that means anyway.
Right.
I knew that I needed to.
Yeah.
I just couldn't figure it out. Like, well, like I said, part of it was being like that imposter syndrome that was holding me back from fully doing it. But
what did that feel like? What, like, was it concern that it would dry up your client base, or like where was your? It
was concern that, well, mostly
or just like your medical side,
mostly on the side of social media, because the world of social media, all it takes is for you to do a reel claiming a thing. Like I don't call myself a holistic esthetician because there are holistic estheticians who truly have a license saying holistic esthetician. So it's kind of like this tricky area. The same way, there's also oncology safe estheticians. I provide oncology safe facials. I still I made sure before I even offered that to anyone that I had all the training that I needed in order to do that, because it's a medical term.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be really careful, and I still have to be careful with everything we say, like I said, on Instagram and social media, that I'm not a holistic esthetician. I'm holistic minded. I offer holistic facials that use holistic techniques with certain massage techniques, gua sha, cupping, and then non-toxic skincare. So partnering with Green MD was a big part of that. The education that they've provided, their marketing, like all the things, the tools that I was so missing.
Right.
Now I finally am getting. So yeah.
That's interesting how much the partnership with the product base, how much that then is going to dictate how you're talking about what you're doing, right?
Right. It's just, it's how my mind works, because I'm so focused on, like I said, health and wellness, knowing what's in all of my things, all the things I give my kids, right? Knowing the ingredients. And so I just didn't want to be staying in line with my value of what I wanted out of my business. It's still tricky. I still, I have a peel called the Bio Repill that is great, super viral, beautiful results on the skin. And I still offer it to people. If someone comes in and they say, I'm looking for non-toxic options, and Green Envy has clean peels. Bio Repill is not clean.
Yeah.
They have dyes in it. They have acids that, are not considered non-toxic. So I still have those options for people. It's, I'm still results driven. So it's still having that initial consultation and figuring out what's going to fit that person's needs.
Where their priorities are.
Right.
I think, and I think that's probably very similar in trajectory of so many business owners, right? Where we start a business, we get into it, we get going. A lot of times people are offering everything to everybody, trying to I just need clients. I need you to come in. Okay, now I'm pivoting a little bit. And now it sounds like you're at that position now where you're like, no, this is the mission, the vision, the values of my company.
Yeah.
and therefore the rest of, you know, my operation is going to start working in that direction.
Right.
That same way. And I think that's probably a very familiar story to so many business owners, no matter the industry, what that looks like over time.
Right.
What do you think I want to know, Tara, a little bit your opinion on the social media, kind of the idea of what you can say on social media and the perception of what you say on social media and how impactful that can be.
Yeah. So how have you been navigating that so far over the last year and a half?
I mean, I'm really, so a little bit that I forgot to mention is that at Glow of the last 5 years, 5 years, or I guess it was 4 years in total, I did their social media.
Okay.
So I did all of their marketing emails, all of their Instagram posts. I just kind of got put in that role because we didn't have anyone else. I was the age.
It became your job. Here, do this.
I was like that age who understood it. Some of the people there are like, nah, nope, I don't want anything to do with it. So I just kind of figured out, as far as the marketing goes, I figured out things, Canva, things like that, with time. And that was on the medical aesthetic side. You know, figuring out terminology. You can't make claims, or if you talk about Botox, you've got to provide the legal little thing they want disclaimer with it, things like that. So I knew that I had to be careful. Basically, anything you post, even with your partnerships with certain brands, like you can't post things without their permission, or posting major discounts on or prices on things when you're not supposed to, things like that. So I'm just always really cautious. And I also, I feel like more and more my posts have to be more vague. I don't want to say vague, how to say it, but aesthetics is tricky because you don't want to post something and be like, here's a perfect skincare regimen, because it's not true, right? Every single person needs a customized regimen, and so I don't post things like that. I feel like I'm kind of like slowly filtering what I post, because so many things, I'll start to work on something and I'm like, no, I can't say that, because someone's going to read that and believe that's true for them. And even though like I'll put like asterisks here, like disclaimer, this is not apply to you if you have severe acne, or like if you have oily skin, like, you know, things like that.
Yeah.
So it's just being careful with what I post, really like not really detailed stuff, but more like, hey, here's a little bit of what I do. If you want to learn more, come have a consultation with me. Like, you know, things like that. It really more, I'm trying to take it more of that route of drawing in the clients and like maybe things that are going to help me create a connection with them on a personal level, but not so much like try to be like answer every single skincare concern question on my Instagram page.
So shifting from a more specific educational route to broader promotional, like this is what I do, come see me for a consultation, and like we can talk about your specific case.
I mean, does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, there has been a little bit of a shift, because it was like very, everybody do educational, showed exactly like X, Y, and Z of what you're doing and all of that.
Yeah.
And there's been a little bit of a shift to including other kinds of content and remembering also to promote like what you're doing, what your services are, all of that.
Yeah.
But there is still that educational component, because that's such a strong thing of like, why would someone come to you? Like, and being able to balance that, showing your expertise without over showing it and then confusing people on like, okay, no, that doesn't actually apply to you. So it is a balancing act. And so are you doing your own social media now?
I do my own. My goal would be to hand it off 100% as soon as possible, because it's not something I put a ton of my time in. Like, I definitely in the past I put way too much time into it, and it doesn't give enough back. Usually, you know, you work so hard on a post and you get a couple likes and you're like, oh, like that was like 3 hours. So that's kind of one thing that's kind of pushed me to doing less of it.
What has your focus been marketing then? Like, how are you?
I mean, I do weekly emails for my clients. I do email marketing to them with whatever special they have going on. I try to do something a little bit educational, or I'll take like an educational post I did on Instagram, easily copy it right to the email and save time, so vice versa. So it's really, I mean, my main goal is just client retention, right? And then getting them to like love it enough, they're referring their friends and family, so incentivizing them to refer people. But yeah, client retention, following up with them post-treatment, you know, making sure they love the way their skin looks and feels, all of that. I see that has way more value for sure.
That personal connection does have a lot of value. Like that personal referral of, oh, I go here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I've done a little bit of like pairing up with local businesses. So I've done like little giveaway boxes in some businesses around me.
Okay.
So like it's just little like, you know, acrylic little giveaway box, and it'll say like, you know, enter for a free facial. So they provide their name, email, phone number, and then I'll end up following up with them. So I'll say like, hey, you know, either they're the winner, right, when I do the drawing, but then even if they didn't win, I still send them like a little gift card, you know, credit towards a facial. Even sending out those $25, you know, there's $25, you know, towards a facial. That's almost like 25 or 25% off. People don't take it. So I'm like, what else can I do? And I'm not like, my personality, I'm not going to keep messaging them or bugging them. Like, I'll give them maybe one more reminder like a month later, like, hey, don't forget. But it's just not my personality.
That's really hard to overcome as a business owner. It's like not having.
And that's where I'm like, I want to hand it off.
Yeah,
someone else can do it. It's not me. Well, if they come complaining, no, that's not me. That's my marketing team.
They're the ones bugging you, not me.
It's interesting you say that though, right? The follow-up strategy on the marketing, despite the fact that we don't like doing it, becomes the thing that will make the difference. Right. So as a business consultant, I try and spend the time like to figure out like, there's a way you'd be willing to do it.
Yeah.
You just maybe the way that you've done it or the way that you've seen is you're like, that's not palatable to me. I don't want to do it like that. That feels stalkery and it feels salesy and it feels gross and I don't want to. Right. But so that the time spent on those marketing things actually is paying off more strategically, it does require an obscene amount of follow-up.
Yeah.
And there's no way around it because people are distracted in their lives, right? So they're like, oh yeah, that $25, that's great. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna do that. And then whatever happens, and unless you're showing back up and they're like, oh yeah, I forgot, until they actually get themselves from that position all the way into you, it takes forever. So that's one thing where as a business owner, trying to determine to learn that skill of what am I willing to do and how can I teach myself to be comfortable to do that follow-up makes a big difference. Right?
What do they say? Like it takes 10 touches
minimum.
Oh God.
Like 7 to 14, and it depends on the price point, right? And it depends on the other like hurdles that are presented. So things like if you're dealing with clientele that have never had a facial, let's just say they've never done any skincare besides like CVS aisle of like oil of Olay. That's what they've done. And so there's a huge amount of, they don't know what they don't know. There's a lot of apprehension of like, will it hurt? Do I have to have fillers? Do I have to have Botox? What does a facial feel like? Am I even a person who does those things? I don't know. I'm nervous to go in and feel like I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what questions to ask. I'm feeling frumpy and I already don't want to be in here. Like the amount of stuff that you're trying to overcome is shocking, right? All of which, or most of which, you don't care, right? I can help you with your skin. You have skin, I can help you with your skin. What are you trying to accomplish? I can work with you, right? So that's the 7 to 14 touches. So if you kind of think about like if you're hand holding a friend through from here to here in their life and you're like, we're going to have this conversation 14 times before you actually get brave enough and bold enough to take that next step, you would do that. And so if you can make those sales follow-ups feel like you're just like, okay, you're not ready yet, but I'm going to help you with this little piece of education, or I'm going to speak to you in this post in a way that you're like, oh, okay, she's going to be so welcoming and accepting of me. Or, you know, whatever, each little barrier, you kind of like help pull that down with all of your follow-ups. It makes it feel better too. Like from your side, you're not like, oh, I'm a salesy person.
Like for me, I feel like I'm not good with words. It's just not one, like you're really good with words. I am not good with words. And so I always feel like, I'm like, well, how else am I supposed to say this? I feel like I have to, like, I'm like, I feel like my only option is to copy the the message I already sent and send it again. And that's not getting, like, you can only do that so many times.
You'd be surprised how infrequently people will notice that you said the exact same thing
But
26
if
times
it's
over
text,
either.
though, they can see that they likely, unless they
Well, that's true. Yeah, if it's text messages,
and like
that's true.
they'll see the same message over and over. And like, so that's where I'm like, okay, it makes sense to change up what you're trying to say to them
and how and where you're saying it too.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it doesn't just have to be 14 text messages. Like
Right.
it could be a mixture of there's an email, a text,
Yeah.
a Instagram post that it might just be speaking directly to this kind of person and
Yeah.
they're feeling with that.
Yeah.
But it still counts as a touch because they're seeing
Right.
it and they're like, oh,
Right. Right. Yeah. So, but yeah, those are things I'm like, that is my weak point. And that's why I'd like to pay someone to just do it for me.
Well, I'm a big believer in outsourcing.
Yeah.
Because we can't be, as business owners, no matter what our business is, right?
Yeah.
To try and be the best at every single line item that has to happen in a business is unrealistic, right? We don't have time for that. And I would like to know a little bit about most things, but not everything about everything.
So my fear, and this is something like a lot of other people probably come saying, is that I know of MedSpas that have paid tons of money for social media marketing and got nothing out of it. Or like their posts are still like, this is a professionally made post, right? They did all the right things and it's still only getting a couple of likes. And so like, is it the marketing team? Is it just Instagram's algorithm that's so difficult? Like, do y'all still find, like, even as marketing professionals, like, it's just really hard to get people to engage?
It really depends.
Yeah.
And then it's also, instead of looking at likes as your metric of like, was this post successful? There's so many other analytics that you can dive into that'll be like, okay, yes, public facing, this got 4 likes.
Yeah.
But it also got maybe 10 saves. So 10 people found it.
Yeah.
Or it got sent to X amount of people and then all of a sudden now I have 3 bookings.
Right.
Like, okay, maybe 10 people saw it, but out of 10, 3 of them were qualified leads that ended up booking. So making sure having those analytics in place and also making sure whoever you hire to do your marketing has reporting and they're talking to you about, okay, yes, this is what we're seeing, this is what you're actually getting out of it. And also having them be willing to pivot the strategy if it's not working. Right. Which is sometimes not the case. It's like, no, this is what you get. And
because there's just so many marketing people out there, right? And it's like, then how do you know who to trust? Because it is, like I said, it's a big investment. Like, it's not cheap. And it's something, like I said, like, I want to outsource because I know it's so valuable.
Yeah. Especially in this industry.
Yeah.
I say that, but I don't know that there's an industry that doesn't need a presence in the online world now, right?
Yeah.
So social media is now the online world.
Yes.
Your website needs to exist in the online world. People need to be able to find you legitimately. Most business owners aren't necessarily like shaking hands with a person and then they become a client every single time. So you have to be able to pull people from your online presence into your location, and it has to feel the same doing that as if I walk by and happen to walk in the door. It has to feel the same. So taking that as the strategy, that's how you increase that client base, right? Because you're right, like you have your network that you've established, your circle of friends and family and the people that you've created as clients, and those are going to be your lifers. Like they're gonna exist and support you. But there comes a point where you're like, and now I need to go to the next level out. Like I need to somehow breach beyond where I've accessed right now. And that's what your social media potentially, or your email marketing, or your in-person networking, which I know you do a lot of as well. All of those pieces now have to start really supporting and driving business to that people I don't know, or people that don't even know me through somebody else. I need them to now know me. Yeah. Which can be a challenge. Like it can be, it's a big growth step from that stage of like, okay, this is kind of working. Like people are coming in, people I know, they're coming in, they're telling their friends, they're coming in, that's cool. And then all of a sudden that can get very like slow and it can dry up a little. And then you're like, okay, now I got to find new people. Where do I do that? Have you found any major surprises as you've been growing your business in terms of like who's been super supportive or who you anticipated supporting more and that you haven't seen them show up, or have you found people that you're like, I never thought this group would be so involved, and yet they have been?
Nothing too surprising.
Okay.
So if you've ever heard the phrase, a client will become a friend.
Yes, I've heard that.
It's very accurate. So yeah, I mean, I grew up in Katy. I know a lot of people in this area, and I have support in the sense of like Instagram and Facebook and people liking and sharing, things like that. But as far as physically coming in, like my mom, my aunts, like they're like from the very beginning, day one, they were in supporting me. But as far as like friends,
Yeah.
Obviously like friends who live out of town, like, I don't expect them to. But that's been one thing. But again, like I kind of knew already. I've been in aesthetics for like longer than just with my business, right?
Yeah.
And you know, it's one of those things like you go out with friends or see someone and they're like, "Oh my gosh, your skin! Like, tell me what to do. Tell me what to do." I'm like, "Well, I've been
Come and see me."
Come see me.
Come for a consultation.
Yeah, like, but people always want like mini consults at a bar.
For free.
Which I'm totally
Like,
fine.
yeah.
I'm totally fine. I do it. But a lot of times those conversations get forgotten too.
Yeah.
And then
Well, they're
never
drinking and,
revisited. Never revisited. Or,
The nachos show up, and
or
then you're
maybe
distracted.
a couple of years later they make their way in. But not really too surprising in that side of it. I will say like the Katy Women in Business, like I mean, I love the organization. It's been so much fun to like meet other women in business, and so supportive. Like the people who I have coming in because so and so sent them in because you know they recommend me. I was like, oh, I didn't even know she knew who I was.
Yeah.
So that's really nice. It's like that was something, and I only got to go to a couple meetings, but it was really valuable. And it continues, you know, anytime I can make connections with other businesses, it's really valuable because, I mean, I love supporting others and when you can do it. So, I think that's great.
Yeah. Well, and going back to like all of the people you have on social media that will like a post and do all that, but then they're not actually coming in for facials. That's why I don't even consider likes as part of a successful campaign. Because people will like a photo and like they have no intention of doing anything. Right. So seeing like that, the back end of like, okay, well, who are we actually looking for?
Right.
What actually transforms into ROI?
Yeah. The other problem I have with like Instagram, I know that my face is supposed to be on camera. Like I know, like that's, and anytime I post a picture of myself or my family or whatever, it gets a million, like so much attention. Like, and I know part of that's Instagram. Like it pops up easier also with the face. Then people see it
because people like people.
Yeah, but as far as like being like I'm supposed to be doing reels, putting my face on the camera. No, I'm like figuring out every way I can do it without putting my face on the camera.
Luckily, there are a number of ways you can do it without.
So that's another thing. Is like when you have someone telling you like, nope, this is what we're gonna do today. Sit there and say this, and
that's the great thing about having someone else.
And want someone to record it because I will attempt to. And like, you know, I'll set up the camera, I'll do whatever, and I'll look at it, I'm like, oh my god, no, I'm not posting that.
That did not turn out how I thought.
No, not. The lighting, like, well, for one, like the room I'm in, the lighting is like horrendous. So no matter what I do, like everything looks awful that I don't ever post anything that I make in there. But yeah, so it's like all these things I'm like, I know I should be doing, it's just, I'm like, No, it's okay.
Eventually.
Oh, yeah, one day. One day I'll get there.
Oh, in the one day file. Okay.
Yeah. So I hired a business coach last year.
Perfect.
For about 6 months.
Okay.
And one of the first things I asked her was like, okay, how important is Instagram really? Like, how much should I really care? She's like, don't care. Don't even waste your time on it. Like, totally nix it.
Okay.
And so we focused a lot more on email marketing and kind of fine-tuning that. But her thing was that when you send out an email, your subject line needs to be hitting a pain every time. Like, hit a pain so that they want to open that email on it. And that's, again, it comes down to that's not my personality. Like, I'm creating an email headline that goes, are your wrinkles looking just awful today? You know, like...
Great, I always already thought that when I looked in the...
clickbait that she wanted me to create. And I would do it, and I just didn't feel like, I'm like, this is not me. Like, I would send it, and we'd do our follow-up, and she'd be like, oh, look how many, you know, what is your click percentage, you know, but it almost always is right at about 70-75%, whether it's a nice, friendly headline subject or a clickbait, you know, hitting their pain type of thing. So I was curious to ask you, like, is it really truly like that big of a difference, or is it better to kind of fit with your personal, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like how I would talk. Like that's not, because otherwise the other one's not me, like at all.
So it really depends on, so you weren't doing Instagram or anything, so how are you even getting people into your list?
I mean, I would do like the occasional, but as far as like devoting time like into it,
that wasn't the main.
It wasn't
focus.
like a focus.
Okay.
It was my email marketing, doing the giveaway boxes where I was building my list, getting people on my email list, and just being consistent. So her thing was like consistency, follow-ups, all of that. So every week sending out an email, really consistent, but just yeah.
The subject line definitely matters. You may not be seeing a difference with the open rate because a lot of people open their emails just to mark them as read. But if you see a difference in people engaging with the email, so that's where you're really looking as far as like what was the success of that email. But like with the subject line, if it doesn't feel true to your brand, then I wouldn't do that. Especially if you were like sending it and you're feeling like, I feel
icky
about that.
Yeah,
And so maybe there's a different way to phrase it, like, or a softer way, or like maybe a more educational approach for you, or a more promotional route as well. But it does have to offer something of value in that email subject line, whatever that value is. But it doesn't have to make you feel icky as a business owner. But because you're competing with people get hundreds of emails every single day, from every business they've ever interacted with. So that's what you're competing with. So it does have to have something that will spark them of like
interest to open it. That was just one thing I was like, because you know, it kind of was just like that's how you're gonna get people to open it. I was like, but I've seen it work the other way too.
What did you get as an ROI? So in terms of when you look at that 6 months that you were consistently doing emails, were you seeing an uptick of people coming from that and actually showing up and booking with you?
I mean, of the coaching, like the coaching in general, I wouldn't say I got as much as I had hoped. We didn't align in her marketing tactics and what, like I said, felt right for me in my business. And I would tell her that sometimes. She's like, well, trust me, just do it. And I would do it even with ads. So I even had some Facebook ads. Same thing. Is the headline was something of pain and sale, like to me, like salesy, not at all my type of tone.
Were you feeling icky, like the life insurance sales of you might die, so get this, like that kind of icky? Like
to that extent, but
but like,
well,
you're not gonna die, but like just like, do you feel ugly? Like
like I said, like it was always when it with aesthetics, of course, like the pain is always like you're feeling old, or you the wrinkle, like all that, and I'm like, that's not who I'm looking for. It's because with what I do is holistic aesthetics, I'm all about embracing like the natural beauty someone has and enhancing it, right? And of course, like MedSpa can be the same thing. But they are much more like someone truly is like, oh my gosh, these wrinkles gotta go. Well, guess what? They can get Botox and 2 weeks later those wrinkles are gone. But I'm not in that at all. And I'm not looking for clients who are wanting that to change that fast. They want healthier skin.
It's just a different offering, right? That's not on your menu.
So going back to your question, I just felt like we didn't align on a lot of it. I did learn a lot of insight and like different techniques and ways to like I said, like the giveaway boxes, that was something that she had me do, and it was successful. It's helped me connect with businesses as well as other like prospective clients. It's something I'll continue to do because it's really pretty simple. People respond pretty well with it. It's easy to put your name in a box.
It is, but then your downside to that sometimes is that a lot of people put their name in a box with no intention of, right? Like it's a little bit harder to be a qualified lead. right? Like
Yeah.
it's a lead, it's a name, it's somebody
Yeah.
you didn't know yesterday.
Yeah.
But you still then have to like chase it down.
Right,
a little bit,
right,
right?
yeah. And that's,
For
yeah, and
longer.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I did the follow-ups, but
Yeah.
continuing the follow-up and not wanting to be that, like, annoying person and then regretting that they put their name in that box. Now this girl won't leave me alone.
Yeah. Almost never is that the thought.
Yeah.
I know
It's
we
just-
think like we internalize
Yeah.
that as like I am being so pushy,
Yeah.
I am being so persuasive, I
Right.
am trying to chase these people down, but the reality is people very rarely think like that. And most times when you talk to clients, if you get somebody that you're like, wow, I talked to them 10 times before they came in, eventually you can ask the question like, what finally got you in the door? Like I pursued you for a long time.
Yeah.
What happened? And usually it is your persistence was very impressive.
Mm-hmm.
You kept connecting with me. You kept bringing this back to the forefront. You realized it was something I was interested in enough, and you kept talking to me about it.
Yeah.
So it's funny the different perspectives. Sometimes people, if they are finding you annoying, will give you the hardest of no's.
Right.
Stop calling me. You're annoying. Click
they'll
goodbye.
unsubscribe.
Or they'll
Yeah.
unsubscribe.
But also-
Or they'll just disengage completely.
Right.
Whereas if they're still answering your call,
Right.
or responding to an email or opening every email you say, even if they're not doing anything with it, but they open every email,
Yeah.
you can start to be like, you know what? That's Sally. She's at least moderately interested. Like
Yeah.
that's a buying
Yeah.
signal. It's not a big one,
Yeah.
but it exists,
Yeah.
right? She's
Yeah.
not shutting you down. She hasn't
Yeah.
kicked you right out of her email box yet.
Yeah.
Okay, so email marketing and giveaways were kind of your primary marketing strategy, with a little bit of social media kind of
Yeah,
peppered
social
in there.
media. I mean, I've had people. It's I can't even say like I have had people come see me because they found me on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
I've had people just find me on Google.
Yeah.
And then friends of family referrals, things like that. There's not like I haven't found like the thing that's like. It's just kind of here and there. Just
Yeah.
kind of randomly.
Spoiler, there's not one thing.
Yeah,
It's
like,
all the
I figured
things.
it out. I figured it out.
No, it's all the things that
I
work
Googled
together.
that. I did
Yeah.
I wasted way too much money on Yelp,
Oh no.
and now they won't leave me alone.
Yeah.
But I learned.
Yeah. That's the goal. Learn early and without spending too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so so we have an idea of your marketing. So what about for me?
I mean, so my end goal would be to have a bigger space, potentially hire a person, not looking to get a big business going or anything like that, because I don't think I can handle it for a while. But like, how do I do it?
Okay. All right. How do I go from here to
that's
there in the next?
No,
All right.
what do you see is the thing that gets people to that like next level?
Okay. It is probably figuring out how to get enough leads in the door. It is that sales side of things where you can start to feel secure yourself that there are going to be leads coming in frequently enough that then you're closing into clients,
Right.
that then you can take whatever that next growth leap is,
Mhm.
right? And so for you, if it's moving from your current location to a bigger location, even if it's as yourself, not hiring that second person right yet, the number one thing you have to do is know that you're reliably going to have cash flow.
Right.
And the only way to do that is lean in really hard on that sales side of things, so that you're like, okay, how do I get from leads coming in this way and that way, but not that I can rely on yet? So looking at that, just increasing that consistent monthly revenue to the point where you're like, okay, at this point, wherever that number is for you, I could afford that next bigger space, and I could do it without causing myself to have a heart attack,
Yeah.
without feeling like you have to be there 24 hours a day, right? So it's that piece. So really leaning into how do you deal with the follow-up in a way that feels good to you? How do you deal with doubling down on what's working? So if it's like, okay, I got X number of leads, so maybe I would go back and say, evaluate what percentage of your business comes from what area. So if it's clients, referrals, if that's where your number one source of leads is coming, then okay, for the next 90 days, I'm going to work on a referral strategy only.
Yeah.
And all I'm going to focus on is getting those people to push me out to more of their people that I don't know yet.
Yeah.
So how am I going to do that? Okay, I'm going to do incentives and gift cards and rewards or a contest to your current client base for the referrals. And just trying, and then knowing on the back end, you've spent a lot of time working on the customer service side on the back end. So like once I'm a client, you're doing follow-up care, you're calling, you're doing all the things that like, they'll stay being a client. If you can get them in there, they're good. So that's what I would do. So if it's referrals is the biggest, then lean in and double down on getting more referrals and figuring out all the ways you can do that. Or if it's actually gotten a lot more people than I thought from Instagram, then I would be leaning into, okay, either I'm going to do this myself and I'm going to really focus on learning how to do this, or I'm going to outsource it to somebody and I'm going to take the financial dollars for that, knowing that I'm creating an ROI from it. So it's like, okay, if I get this on my own with my however much I'm currently doing, I'm going to spend this much money, I'm going to hire somebody to help me, and then that's it. I'm going to really double down on that for no strategy less than 90 days, because you won't see any results from anything yet. It takes at least 90 days, and really I like 6 months. But that it would be that evaluation piece first, and then second, just lean in on that and keep doing everything else at the level you're doing it right now. So like just change one factor at a time. But sales is the thing that will make you comfortable to go to that next step.
Basically all the things we've talked about that I...
all of the one day files, we just gotta open that damn thing back up and pull it out and be like, okay. So it's just, and I will say too, there's something to, like, you having hired a business coach is huge, because there's so much value that you get from that, from somebody else's perspective and eyeballs on your business. So despite the fact that some of the marketing advice was a little bit kind of at odds with what you're personally liking, I would go back and review, what did I get from that? What did she teach me? What can I now see that she said to me that I can maybe implement? Or who else do I need to start helping me with what is next? Right? I'm a big believer, obviously, like I coach businesses, so I'm obviously a believer in it. But I always have a coach, but it's not always necessarily the same coach, right? So I am leaning into, if this is where I'm expanding my business, then I'm going to lean into that skill set specific coaching, where I'm going to lean into, like, I need to figure out my mindset, or I need to figure out my personal growth that's going to kind of align with all of that. So I feel like sometimes as business owners, we spend a lot of time not reflecting on like the what's worked, what hasn't worked, and then what are my next steps coming from that evaluation too.
No, it's definitely.
So there's your roadmap. Just go back, look at everything.
No, you're right though.
And then,
I do need to kind of go back at all my notes. So I have to just kind of reflect.
And just knowing that it I don't know, it feels like, I think for most business owners, I haven't found anybody yet that doesn't want to be like 10 steps farther than they are right now, myself included, right? Where we're always trying to like build to there, but we have to think about like, what's the first step? What's the first step I need to do? And then I'll make the decision on the next step, right? It's very easy to project forward and be like, okay, these big pie in the sky ideas that I want eventually, but you have to start with like, what's the one thing? What's that little bit that I have to do next? And that's the work piece, is holding ourselves accountable to that one next step, and then the one next step, and not just, you know, that future daydream. That's always me anyway. Like, I know.
I think, I mean, definitely being pregnant is kind of making it difficult for me. Because I'm like, 100%. You know, like, and that's why I'm like, one day I'm like, after baby. After baby.
Well, and the after baby file is a legit, like, that's not delaying. That is a reality of knowing my house is about to be busier. I'm about to be balancing and managing 3 kids. That's not you procrastinating. That's just also reality talking, where you're like, oh, right, I don't want to have to do this, deliver the baby, and 2 hours later be doing a social media post.
But I do need to, like, over the next month or so, like, kind of focus on at least a couple things I can do prior.
And what you can set yourself up for, like, as you're taking a little bit of downtime, like, how much automation, or do you outsource marketing or social media for the duration so that you're not losing time, so that it's
Right.
like continuing that trajectory as you're taking time to,
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, we're excited. I think we're really grateful that you were able to come and get to do this in person is always really fun.
Yeah.
But just the level of kind of sharing and like openness you have with letting everybody know like where you are and what you're doing and how much that can benefit somebody that is earlier than you in the process or at the same stage as you and is like, oh man, I'm alone, like the only person this is happening to. And it's like, no, half the reason that we have this podcast is so we can open the doors to say, no, you're not alone. We all, no matter your industry, but specifically in the aesthetics industry, you are not alone in these growth struggles and trying to figure out like, how do I get from here to here? And we're all just doing it as we go, right? So we appreciate that.